First-year Ole Miss Rebels head coach Chris Beard joins the Marching the Madness College Basketball Podcast. Let's think about numbers. Coach Beard has a 70.1% winning percentage at Little Rock, Texas Tech in Texas. He also had those Red Raiders into the NCAA Tournament 4 years ago, and they lost that tough overtime game to Virginia. Coach, it's a pleasure, man. Good to see you.
Glad to be on today.
Thank you. Tom Penders is a friend of mine, and he was saying, "Hey, where's Chris Beard?" I said, "We'll get him." Anyway, I wanted to ask you, of course, he's a Hall of Fame caliber coach, a legend. As you were his manager back at Texas back in the day, how did he become a mentor and give you the idea of being a head coach at the D1 level?
Yeah, I've been blessed in coaching, and I've had so many people help me along the way. And Coach Penders is certainly in the top of that list. Coach Penders gave me an opportunity to be around the program that, frankly, I didn't do anything to deserve, and he just gave me an opportunity, and I took advantage of it. Not only during my time with Coach Penders, but certainly after, just kind of every step of my career, whether it be when I was a junior college coach, Coach Penders spent time with us. When I was an assistant coach for Coach Knight, and most recently being a head coach at some great places, it's always been special to me that Coach Penders is part kind of our team. So he's somebody I have a lot of respect for so many reasons. I think one of the big things I learned from Coach Penders was just I thought he coached with a confidence and a swagger and his players second to none. There was never a game where I was on the bench with Coach Penders that I didn't think we were going to win the game. And he had a great ability to kind of take his confidence and make sure everybody in the organization fed off of that. So, I love Coach Penders, and I'm always appreciative of the friendship and the mentorship that I have with him.
Now, as you go into the SEC at Ole Miss, talk about the excitement and the focus that you get from taking over this position.
It's a great time at Ole Miss. We're just going to try to do our small part in men's basketball. I think life is about timing. We all know that, and basketball is no different. And I think all of us get opportunities, and it's up for each of us to take advantage of the opportunities. And so certainly at Ole Miss, it doesn't take anybody super intelligent to understand kind of what's going on here. Baseball won the national championship a season ago. Women's basketball had a run that really not only captivated the whole state of Mississippi, but really college basketball. Sweet 16 run by Coach Yo, and women's basketball here was so fun. That was right around the time that we got here, and so we enjoyed that. What Coach Kiffin is building and sustaining with Ole Miss football is real. The excitement around here right now, a few weeks from football. And we also have a lot of other NCAA quality, championship programs here, whether it be the Olympic sports or volleyball. And so it's just a great time to be at Ole Miss, and we're looking forward to doing our part with men's basketball.
Now, you have two awesome people who came over to Oxford from Auburn, in Wes Flanagan, your assistant, and then Ellen Flanagan. And I was curious about, your vision for both and then their vision as they come over.
Well, Wes is one of my best friends before we ever get to basketball. Wes and I worked together at Little Rock, where we had a championship season and built a program together.
30-5.
Yes, sir. A lot of good players. Shout out to Josh and Liz and Roger and G and everybody. Kimmy, I don't want to miss anybody here, but keep going. Reese, all of you. But no, so Wes and I, we're great friends. And, Wes had a chance to be a Division I head coach, had success. Certainly for him to have a chance to go back to his alma mater at Auburn was special for all of us. And, made a Final Four run, did a lot of things there. So really it was a kind of a personal connect led me and Wes back together. So I'm excited to be, working with my friend again. Not only does he happen to be my friend, I think he's an elite college basketball coach. He played the game at the highest level at Auburn, was a great player. He's coached the game at the highest level, again, including being a Division I head coach himself. He's a great teacher. I think he impacts winning on a daily basis with our players. For us to have a chance to have his son Al here his last year, Al was a great player in person at Auburn, got his degree from Auburn, and just taking advantage of this last year that many other great players are, with the COVID exception. This will be the last season that we see players like Al have a chance. So to go to grad school here, to work on a post-bachelor's degree, and then certainly be a player for us, no doubt about it. I think he's got a chance to be one of the best players in college basketball.
Coach, I was thinking about the history of Rebels basketball, and then I looked it up and kind of studied it. I found that they've only had 9 NCAA appearances. Rod Barnes orchestrated 3 in his first 4 seasons. So what has to be done to establish the Rebels as a perennial name, with the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to recognize the success that's been here in the past. I've never thought of myself or our staff or our program, our organization, as having like some kind of secret magic wand, right? So when you look at opportunities, one of the first things we look at is, hey, has it ever been done there before? And the answer at Ole Miss is yes. It has. And most recently with Kermit having an NCAA tournament team and doing a lot of great things here at Ole Miss. Certainly AK before Coach had a great run here, including championships, NCAA tournament. Coach Evans, Coach Barnes, Coach Wetlick. There's a lot of tradition here at Ole Miss with undeniable success. I think what we strive to do, which is no different than anybody else, we would like to have some great teams, have some great players, but we would like to also build a program that's consistent, where every year you're not, wondering if Ole Miss is going to be in the tournament. You're asking what seed is Ole Miss going to get this year. So really consistency is what we're going to strive for. It's easy to sit around and talk about it. It's much more difficult to actually go out and build it and do it. But that's our goal. That's our vision. That's our goal. Our plan, our objective is to build a program that can be competitive year in, year out. And I think when you get into that conversation, you get into that neighborhood, that's when you have a chance to make a Final Four and compete for a Monday night. But the first step here is to build the program to a level where it can be consistent.
Matthew Merrill had 384 field goal attempts last season. The team had 802. That's the last 3 seasons. My bad. I failed counting when I was in elementary school. But anyway, how can he become more of a threatening scorer than he has been?
Yeah, well, don't worry. I'm not going to catch any of your mathematic mistakes. I'm a PE teacher, so you're good on that. Matt Morrell, I love Matt, and we've only known each other for a couple of months, so love might be a strong word for some, but not for me. I got a lot of respect for Matt. It starts for, Coach Davis and the program they built here. We benefit from that. Matt knows how to play the game. He's been coached at the highest level with Kermit. He's got defensive instincts, a confidence to go score the ball. I think, again, with Matt, what we're trying to do is kind of what we're trying to do with our team, is just try to find some consistency. There's been a lot of given nights in the SEC over the past few years where Matt Morrell was the best player on the floor. We would like to be where Matt Morrell is one of the best players on the floor every night. And so it's just consistency with Matt. It's not talent. But he's been great. From the time we got the job, coaching transitions are hard. Coaching changes are hard. Matt and his family were great. They were transparent. He was going through the NBA process, which we agreed with and we were supportive of. When Matt decided to come back to college, we're glad that he decided to come back to Ole Miss. But he's somebody I have a lot of belief in, not just because of his talent, because he works. And I see it every day. He's in the gym. He works on his craft. He's a great teammate. He's competitive. He's a talented guy. I believe Matt can play in the NBA, and I'm excited to coach him.
When you look at Jamie Brakefield as the second leading scorer, he shot 53.7%. So what is the next thing he needs to do to take his game to the next level?
Yeah, Brake's an exciting person for us to think about and coach and talk to and develop a plan for, because the first thing is he's a really good player. His stats in the SEC on good teams speak. He's played in a lot of games and a lot of meaningful minutes in the SEC, and he's been productive. But I also see Brake that literally could be the most improved player in the SEC. And normally when you think of improved players, you think of a guy that maybe didn't play much, and all of a sudden he popped up and he's playing well. When you think about guys that are already really good to start, and now they earn that honor of being an improved player, now you're talking about a guy that's really, really good. And that's where I see Break. I respect and recognize what he's done in the past, but I think he has a ceiling for his game where he could do so much more. And the great thing about Break, like Matt, is he puts in the time. I mean, he doesn't just talk about it, he does it. And so not a day goes by that I don't hear a ball bouncing in the practice gym, kind of glancing there, and it's Break. He puts in the time. I have a lot of respect for Break. He's a basketball guy. I can't wait to coach him.
I was interested as I read your transfer portal. Not many people have a pair of 7-footers coming over. You have 7'1" Musa Cisse and then 7'5" Jamarian Sharp coming in from Western Kentucky.
Yeah, two great people, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that the first time we talked to them on the phone, I enjoyed the conversation. It's not always true. Like I'm sure a lot of recruits don't enjoy talking to coaches, but what players don't understand, us coaches, there's some players we don't enjoy talking to either. So, but the conversations I had both with Sharp, I wanted more. I hung up the phone and say, hey, man, can I call you again tomorrow? So two interesting people, great human beings, two guys that basketball doesn't define them. They're going to be successful people, fathers, husbands, in life. It just so happens, though, that both guys are really talented at basketball. And I believe both guys have a chance to make basketball a career and play it professionally. Obviously, both guys, their identity from the outside world is being 7'1" and 7'5". But in our evaluation of them in the process, I'm convinced that they're both really good basketball players. I told both guys, we would be recruiting you guys if you were 6'6". So their height gives them a chance to do some things that most guys can't. But I don't think it defines them. I think they're good basketball players. And so we're excited about having those guys. I think they can play together. I think there's room in both their games to improve, even though they're both older, experienced players. And above all, again, they're great people. And I think to win a championship, to build a program that we're trying to build here at Ole Miss, you got to have some character in that locker room. And those two guys are great people.
I'm interested in Rashad Marshall as well. Since we're talking the post, he comes over from the state of Arkansas, and he was a top 100 player in almost lists.
Yeah, start by always recognizing, the work that was done before us. Again, Kermit Davis, one of the best people and coaches that college basketball's had. I personally hope I hope he coaches again because the game needs him. He did a great job here and built a foundation for us that we're going to benefit from. And so with Rashad Marshall, Kermit had recruited him and signed him to Ole Miss. When we got the job, he was the first person in the recruiting class that we reached out to, and really thankful and appreciative of Rashad and his family, his high school coach, giving us a chance to come in and re-recruit him. One thing that's pretty cool with Rashad, that it's part of his story one day, he loves Ole Miss. He's got a connection with this place. His father, who he lost a couple years ago, that was a great mentor and father to Rashad, wanted him to come to Ole Miss. His dad loved Ole Miss. In a lot of ways, Rashad was honoring his dad's wishes, and coming to Ole Miss. And so that's kind of cool when there's a connection. A lot of times that gets lost in kind of the business side of college recruiting these days. Yes, it's about opportunity and playing time and name, image, and likeness, but sometimes it's about just falling in love with a school and a program and wanting to play there. So it's really cool that Rashad loves Ole Miss. He's got a chance to be a dynamic player. I don't think he's a big. I think he's a basketball player that can play all over the floor. Like all young players, he's got some growing pains and a growing curve. But, if Rashad will play as hard as he possibly can and compete, there's a role for him this year as a young player.
What are some of the likenesses and differences that you, I don't know, immediately come to between coaching in the Big 12 and the SEC?
Well, I think obviously they're two of the elite leagues. I think an argument can be made for 3 or 4 conferences. Everybody kind of says, hey, we're the best league, and here's why. Certainly, I've been on the Big 12 side of that coin proudly for many years. And now I'm just
Mhm.
excited to be in the SEC. So, look, there's been more NBA players drafted from the SEC in recent years than any other conference. So that speaks clearly because we're in the business of players and talent. The best players in the world, they want to go to college programs where they know they can win, get a degree, get better, and get drafted. And so it's an easy sell in that regard. So I'm really thankful and excited about this opportunity to coach in the SEC. But there are comparisons. Great basketball in all the BCS leagues, great coaches, Hall of Fame coaches. But ultimately, this game comes down to players. And I think there's a lot of really good players in the SEC, including some really good players on this first Ole Miss team.
Sure. Last thing, Coach, as you look at the position here at Ole Miss, what makes this a sense of optimism? And then what will be some of the challenges?
Yeah, we have a lot of belief. I think one, it starts by what's happening on our campus right now. I mentioned some of the other sports success. Oxford, Mississippi is one of the cool places I've ever been, and now I'm privileged enough to actually live a place like this. Great people in Mississippi, just a lot of really cool things going on. So our optimism, we know we can recruit good players here because Ole Miss is a great school. We got a great fan base. We got great facilities, and there's been a lot of success here in the past. I've got a great staff. I've never had this vision in college basketball that's all about me or all about one player. It's an us thing. It's an organization thing. It's a culture thing. And so, I'm blessed to be working with a lot of guys that I've worked with in the past. We talked about Wes having Al back and Brian Berg back and John Riley and Bob back, Anthony Parker, a lot of guys that we've been blessed to have a lot of success with in the past. And we've added a lot of additions. We've inherited some real talent here with Miss Kara in the office and Win Case, one of the best people and coaches I've ever known. We hired Derek from the NBA to be our video guy. So my confidence and my optimism each morning when I wake up, hey, why can we win at Ole Miss sooner than later? It's the people I'm around, including the staff. And then ultimately, the most important group is the players. And we've talked about a few of them here today. But I have a lot of confidence in the players that we put together because I think they're basketball guys. They work, they put in the time. There's a love of the game around here. It's been an exciting summer. And I think that's the biggest source of optimism in our program right now is we got good players.
Coach Chris Beard, ladies and gentlemen, he's back on the Marching Madness College Basketball Podcast. Coach, it's a pleasure, man. It's good to see you, and I wish you the best there in Oxford.
Hey, thanks for everything you do for college basketball. It's a great game, and we really appreciate everything you do. And thanks for having me on today.
Oh, thank you, Coach. I love the game. Every year it gets a little more.